Hey, how's it going, Blue Eyes here, and today I'm going to bring you some Genshin news. We have lots of news to talk about. We have Genshin Impact makes $1 billion in less than 6 months. The 1.5 beta testing was closed because of leaks. Genshin is coming to the Switch. An upcoming character, Rosaria, gets a huge nerf. Now, before we get into all the news, I want to talk about something very important. Since Genshin Impact has made $1 billion, that means it's been crazy spending. If you feel like you have a problem with spending in Genshin Impact, I'll put some links down below that will help with you with that. Gambling lifelines, anything like that. Trust me, if you feel like you have to spend and keep spending to get a certain character, I would advise calling them. Because we're going to be talking about a lot of money. And I feel like this is a huge issue that people don't want to address, or they push it under the rug because they give it the excuse it's just a mobile game. Seriously, if you feel like you're spending too much, not even if you feel like, if you know you're spending too much, I think it's time to get some help. So again, links to those down below. And whenever I talk about Genshin news, I'm going to put that there. It's very important. I want to start off with something light. Genshin Impact's coming to the Switch. Now, Genshin Impact came out last year for us, really near the tail end, so the Switch game doesn't have a release date just yet. I wonder how well it's going to run on the Switch, to be honest. You know, in dock mode it might be okay, but I don't know. But, I mean, this is good news for all the Nintendo Switch players who wanted to play Genshin Impact. And again, I mean, if it runs on phones, it should be able to run on the Switch. I wonder how they're going to take everyone else who missed banners and they were waiting for a Switch port and events and all other stuff, because everyone else is going to be ahead of them. So what was taking so long for this Switch development? Now, if we look at this article by the Inverse, they say an estimated release date hasn't been given, but there's a chance they're running into processing issues given the Switch's limited power. Then next up we have from DualShockers that Genshin Impact 1.5 beta testing shut down after rampant leaks. Now, I read this title and I was like, no shit, Sherlock. That's what happens. But regardless, we live in the time of leaks where information isn't hidden anymore. It's shared once it's attained. But we'll go through this article and see what it talks about. Because again, I just read the headline and I was like, I just laughed to myself because I'm like, yeah, of course. MiHoYo releases major updates for the game every 6 weeks. And the recent 1.4 update added a new character, Rosaria, had a Venti rerun banner, and also had a number of other weapons and items. The Hangout events was a highlight of the update and it was quite well received by the community. Have you guys been doing the Hangout events? They're pretty nice, I think. Oh look, I said that DualShockers would most likely leak this stuff. More from Genshin. They have a leaked video right here. If you've been following the Genshin Impact news for the past few days, you might be aware of the fact that MiHoYo started beta testing for 1.5. Sign-up started last week and the beta test. This is a pretty old article. It's like maybe March 18th, yeah. So it's almost 10 days old. But I wanted to talk about it in here. Sign-up started last week and the beta testing was commenced from this week onward. However, the beta testing didn't go as per MiHoYo's plan, and a lot of stuff was leaked from the beta stages. While MiHoYo had made testers sign an NDA and refrain from sharing content from the beta, leaks continued to drop every day. How untrustworthy are these people? Like, seriously. I don't care if you wanted a cloud or whatever, you signed the NDA, you're not supposed to share shit. That's not fair. You just don't do that. You don't share it with your friends, you don't do anything like that. Like, seriously, that's not cool. I don't care if people want to know what's happening. It's a beta test that's closed and you have the NDA, you're not supposed to share it. That's real lame of those people. I don't care if people were dying for the news, they should have waited. Genshin Impact 1.5 beta test shut down after rampant leaks report. Now it seems like MiHoYo has completely been shut down after the rampant leak. According to the Twitter user and Genshin Impact leaker, Seawally, the 1.5 beta test has been completely shut down after various leaks happened in the past few days. Earlier, MiHoYo had issued a statement that it will be taking action to curb the leaks, and this seems to be the first of them. Yes, 1.5 beta testing has been shut down, March 18th. So, 10 days ago, about. And fine, I think if that's the case, shut it down. A number of other Genshin Impact leakers have already deactivated their Twitter accounts for reasons being unknown. It will be interesting to see what steps MiHoYo takes from here, since scrapping the 1.5 beta might delay the update as well. However, considering that it is always on track for major updates, it seems less likely. We will update the article if we get more info. So there you go, that's the leaks. The guys shutting down their Twitters, I don't know. Could they possibly be scared? Maybe. If I was MiHoYo, I would definitely never work with you again if you broke NDA. You know what? In fact, I don't know how many people were leaking the news. DualShockers, you have leaked information here. Yeah, DualShockers has leaked pictures from here. And right, I understand that people want to consume more and they want to get more of whatever's coming out next, but at the same time, like, I don't know, MiHoYo has to either make the sacrifice of telling everyone what comes next, which is kind of uninteresting, or they have to find some sort of way to keep everything secret. But I mean, you'll never keep things secret if you give it to other people who are outside of your company. I understand why beta testing exists, and you know, why would you trust people in this day and age? And this is apart from like false rumors, fake screenshots, all types of stuff. But I understand, MiHoYo's kind of in a rock and a hard place, and this is kind of the only time I'll ever side with a big ass company. Closing the beta was probably the best move they could have made. At the end of the day though, it does punish the other people who didn't leak anything, but you know, you gotta do something. I feel like the harshest one is the best one. In this case at least. Next up, the biggest story. Genshin Impact races past $1 billion on mobile in less than 6 months. $1 billion. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine a free-to-play game made by small studio MiHoYo? Because MiHoYo was known for a few other games and Honkai Impact. And then this comes out of the woodworks, Genshin, and it makes them $1 billion. And it says on mobile. Is this just on mobile itself? If that's true, that's crazy alone. Now, let's be a little fair here. It's probably not actually $1 billion, especially on mobile, because iOS and Google Play takes a lot of your money. A lot of it. But anyway, let's read the article. The mobile version of Genshin Impact from MiHoYo has surpassed $1 billion in player spending in less than 6 months after its official launch in September 28, 2020. This is by Sensor Tower, by the way. The title has been a global blockbuster since its release, and has generated $874 million in just its first 5 months. Okay, so there you go. It's not actually $1 billion, but it's close to it. Player spending has remained at an average of $160 million a month.
Are you kidding me?
Oh my god. And people still say they need to have the mobile systems in it. They need to have a stamina system. They need to have a gacha. They need to have all of these other things that all these other mobile games have, when look how much money they're raking in just from being Genshin. Now, I understand that the money comes from the gacha itself, but that doesn't mean that they couldn't implement other things that are more convenient for the players. And again, I'm always against the gacha system in general because it's used to milk people, obviously. It's used to make money. I think no one is out here disagreeing with that. But it's unreasonable for you to pay X amount of money for a character. How many pulls do you need to do? 90 pulls, right, to get the guaranteed. And if you don't get the guaranteed, another 90. However much that is, I'll put it on the screen. I generally forget. I'm never going to pay that. I'll never do it in general. When you can find other games that sell characters as DLC, and they're like, what? $8. Sometimes the most egregious is like $12. That's insane. And you know, just to put the harsh reality on it, once these servers close, that's gone. It's all gone. It's not like the character that you bought as DLC on your PlayStation 4 or your other games, and you can keep that character forever. That character is installed in the disc. Even if the servers go off, if there's some sort of offline component, you have that character, like in fighting games. Once those servers are dead, that character is dead. You know, I think it's unreasonable. People, you know, this game isn't going to be around for like 50 years. At least I don't think it's going to be. It very well could be. We very well could be reaching that new point of time where live services are forever going, but it just seems unlikely. Sooner or later, everything dies. Well, as I was saying, player spending has remained an average at approximately $160 million since December. In March, the title has accumulated more than $148 million. That puts the game on track for being its best month since October, when it picked up $233 million on mobile alone. Oh my god. During the last 30 days, Genshin Impact is ranked number 3 in revenue generating titles on the App Store and Google Play combined, behind PUBG Mobile and Honor of Kings from Tencent. Outside of China, however, MiHoYo Smash Hit has been number 1 top grossing mobile game, racking up more than $129 million internationally over the past 30 days. This takes it to the number 1 RPG in both in and outside of China. Genshin Impact is the fastest title to hit 1 billion milestone on the App Store and Google Play, taking less than 6 months. That's quicker than Pokemon Go from Niantic, which took 9 months, and Lineage from NCSoft, which took 10 months. Lineage is really popular. I don't know anything about it. I feel like Genshin is the better game of all of them because it actually has, you know, real gameplay. It's got more than one thing to do. I'll see what Lineage is. I'm kind of being unfair to it. So then we have wishes is like how much each character cost. Genshin Impact's success has been fueled substantially by the investment of the game's live ops, which is consistently implementing new events, features, and characters into the title. The introduction of these particular new characters result in significant spikes of player spending. That was a terrible sentence. Limited spikes of player spending. What is that? Hu Tao's introduction saw revenue close to $13 million in a single day on March 2nd. Oh my gosh. There are some indie games that wish they could make 13 million in not even a single day, maybe in 5 years. While Zhao's appearance saw players spending at 15 million on February 3rd. For comparison, Genshin Impact has generated 5.8 million a day on average since launch. Oh my god. 5 million a day. 5 million. Oh my god. I see it all the time. You know, when someone becomes disinterested in things, generally their perception is that other people might be disinterested too. Like, oh, Genshin Impact is boring right now. Yeah, it's really boring. How could anyone say that when obviously there's so much attention into it right now? There's so many people in this shit. This is insane. Like, I don't know if people see, oh my god, really big numbers, it's a really big game. No, this is insane. China ranks as #1 in the market of spending for the mobile version of Genshin Impact, generating 302 million to date, or 29.5% of the global player spending. So a lot of it is in China, almost 30%. Japan ranks #2, accumulating 278.3 million, or 27%, while the US ranks #3 at 189 million, or 18.5%. I wonder what other countries have a pretty high percentage, maybe like a 5%. The App Store accounts for the lion's share of the global player spending, accumulating 615 million, or 60% of total revenue. Google Play, meanwhile, accumulates 409.4 million, or 40% of the player spending. Outside of China, however, Google Play makes up the majority with a 56.7% of player spending, while the App Store is at 313, or 43.3% spending. Oh my gosh. Few mobile titles have been as successful as Genshin Impact has in such a short time frame. It took 2020's top revenue generating title PUBG just over 16 months to hit its 1 billion player spending after it began monetization. Honor of Kings required approximately 18 months to reach that milestone on iOS. Earlier this year, Brawl Stars from Supercell generated its first billion after 2 years. It's an impressive feat, one that stems truly from the global audience, and is maintained by the substantial investment of new events, features, and characters on top of a rich world and rewarding gameplay experience. Thank you, Craig Chappell. Thank you. When I look at this kind of stuff, I'm just like, holy crap. This is insane. This is generally insane. This game makes so much goddamn money. Now let's flip this on its head a bit. What if Genshin allowed you to buy the characters? Do you think it would still make the same amount of money? Because people going into the game, especially let's say in the US, right? I think it would make a lot more money in the US. It allowed you to buy the characters directly, because the US is #3. And you look at Japan and China, which are both over $250 million. Both of them. China's at 300, okay? It's a lot of goddamn money. Well, the US almost breaks 2 million. I feel like the US would be far higher if you could just buy the characters. Or not even characters, but some games do like fragments, if you can buy character fragments. And the fragments will equal up to a character. Of course, I would prefer just buying the character itself, but that would mean the game would have to have so many downloads, a consistent amount of them too, maybe to even reach this amount of money. I don't know how many people are spending this on resin, because we have 5.8 million a day on average. Some people are spending it on something other than characters too. There has to be. And you know, if this game is making that much money, then it has no excuse ever to be skimping out on content at all, ever. Like I said, if you count like MiHoYo from the team that started, you know, they've made so much money from just Genshin alone. Now, I know I'm kind of screaming out into a void here, because at the end of the day, this is so successful, they would really never change any of this. There's no reason to, because people have already bought into it, but I don't know. You know, it kind of makes me depressed, in a way. Next up, we have an article from Kotaku by Nathan Grayson called "Genshin Impact Won't Let Me Spend Any Money Anymore, and I'm Finally Free." This is kind of what I was meaning at the beginning of the video. There are some people who are trapped in this mentality thinking they have to buy it. And do you guys know what FOMO is? If you don't, I'll explain it to you. It's called fear of missing out. It's the fear of missing out on the newest character, the newest item that everyone else is indulging in. FOMO itself is what developers use to get people to spend. It's the same thing that allowed kids to start bullying other children because they didn't have the newest skins in Fortnite, or they didn't have any V-Bucks to buy any skins, calling kids defaults and stuff like that. And trust me, from personal experience, I've seen this firsthand. I work with children. This happens. 100% I've seen it before already. It's sad to see this happen. But developers know that as long as you have FOMO, as long as you want to keep up with everyone else, that you want to feel socially acceptable, because these are things that are becoming socially acceptable now, that you have to spend, that you have to keep up with everyone else, you have to do the newest event, you have to do this, you have to do that. As long as they've won over your time, they'll win over your money too. Now, this guy in the article, I'm not going to read it, to be honest. It's not that great of an article. He spent $60, around that much, which I spent on the season pass and the, what do you call it, the Welkin thing, because I thought those things were actually worth some sort of value. Long story short, he gets a credit card glitch and he can't spend money in the game anymore. But that's not really what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the comments, because there's a lot of people echoing the same sort of feelings. Like, I can't spend, oh my god, I can't spend, they did the same thing, they need to fix it. It's like, god damn it, dude, you should feel happy that you can't spend anymore, because you're hurting yourself. And right here, so you can unlock all the characters by playing a game. How much of a grind would you say that is if you're not looking to spend any money? And the people who come out and say it's totally free to play, yeah, it is totally free to play. I think everyone understands that, but not everyone understands the astronomical amount of grinding that you need to do to get stuff. You're not going to get every single 5-star character from being free to play. I'm sure there's some outliers to the case, and they're outliers because gacha is luck based, right? So I can hide behind that excuse. But you have a daily primo gem, like let's say you maxed everything out, right? You have a daily primo gem limit of resources that you get, excluding events, excluding the rare treasure chest that you might find after scavenging the whole world. You hear a lot from players near the end game that they have nothing to do. You know, they've maxed everything out and now all they have to do is just wait till the day resets and then they get their primo gem, and they keep storing up over and over and over and over again. Someone leaves a really good comment here. I'm just going to leave it on screen. You can read it yourself. But at the same time, when Genshin Impact is making so much money, there's zero reason why we should be getting 20 primo gems for anything. Alright, it takes 160 for a single pull. So by any means, if we can get 100 primo gems for maintenance, something we don't do, is inactive, it's not in our ability to do maintenance. Why the hell are we getting 20 for doing random odd jobs, or talking to characters, or doing fetch quests? Why? We should be getting one pull, or if not, half a pull for every single job, minimum. And the more harder it is, the more you should get. Let's look at the achievements real quick. The achievements are piss poor. They give you 5 to 10 primo gems, some of them 20, but that's piss poor. 100%, and that just makes you grind for an amount that isn't worth anything. This means you can only pull a few times a day. Now I understand why MiHoYo does this, is because their guaranteed pull is at 90. Even then, if you got 1.5 pull and a banner only lasts what, 2 weeks, you wouldn't pull like that all of those 90 just from doing all of your dailies and stuff. It wouldn't happen. So I don't understand why they're not increasing the primo gem amount, because if getting hit by lightning, I did that one recently, getting hit by lightning I think gives you 5 primo gems, is way harder to do than sit for maintenance, right? So it's an unfair imbalance of primo gems. I'm sure people have realized this already, but I just want to keep echoing that it's an issue and that you should never ever give it an excuse, because it's bad and it sucks in general. This one caught my eye. I still haven't tried to play Genshin Impact, mainly because I still remember when the game was hated because it was called Breath of the Wild. Fans were accusing it of being a Breath of the Wild ripoff. This is such bullshit in my opinion. Oh, a game might be inspired by another game. It's inspiration. And at the end of the day, it's not really like that. But to have such a weird conception, the game, because other people said it's a Breath of the Wild ripoff, it's like, what? Play it yourself and actually make your own opinion, right? There's more people in this comment section talking about how to get the characters. You need to save, you need to wait for the characters that you want, which, yeah, obviously they do the try. You can demo the characters in the events tab, so obviously try to play with the characters, see if you like them. If you do like them, then maybe pull for them, and obviously know when that pity is going to come. That's how I got Ganyu, because I knew my pity was coming up, and so I sat on it until her banner came around, which is what I'm going to do whenever the Japanese characters start coming, like Ayaka and stuff like that. I'm just going to wait on my pity. That's really all I'm going to do. This guy says, good, Buying Primo Gems is outright a fool's game. It's nearly $100 for a guaranteed 5-star that isn't even guaranteed if you want the 5-star you want. You have to pull for that 5-star 7 times if you want to max them out, and if you're lucky, that's $700 to max out a single character in the game. I hope this makes you think. $700 to max out a character. $700. I think I could play like how many RPGs could I possibly buy with $700? Shit, I could just buy a PlayStation 5. I could buy 2 Switches. I found the Switch recently. I want to buy it, but I just recently lost my job, so rip me. In short, the game saved you an incredibly stupid decision. A single video game character is not worth $100. Again, this is FOMO. You know, people come out and they say, oh my god, X character is busted, X character is great, everyone should get X character, should you pull on X character, should you get X? And so everyone else is just like, I need to do it, I need to get it, I need to go do this. It's not worth it, it's not worth it, it's not worth losing $700, $100 over a single character. And to shine more light on it, how much of that character will have unique content? And by unique, I mean to itself, like everything you get with that character. All characters have one combo, one charge attack, one skill attack, one burst attack. They've got character stories, sort of, but none of them are narrated. They make enough money to get them to narrate it, by the way. I understand it's more data, but they can just ask you to download the data. Character stories are released whenever, to be honest. And they're actually not even linked to the character themselves, so you can play the character story without ever having the character. For $100, I'm expecting this character to do everything I possibly can imagine them to do, and cook me dinner. Like, I don't know, is the value of money just being warped at this point? And there's this weird sense, there's a comment right here by -0. People sort of figure out that, oh, I'm having a terrible time with this. I don't like doing this, especially when you don't get the character and you throw a bunch of money into it. It feels good to get the character, yeah, but you know, when you think back retrospectively, like, oh my god, I spent $300. You know, you think to yourself and you're just like, oh my gosh. And what it is impulse. It's bad impulse control, which they say right here, because I'm a whale with bad impulse control. And this guy I agree with too, the Forgetful Brain. As someone who wailed early and hard and had not forced myself to stop playing lest I wail further, you got out the correct price. Fantastic game, but gacha mechanics allow a large sinkhole below. $60 is an excellent price for a game and a good place to stop. I thought to myself, once I spend $60, I'll be okay. I spent around $30, I think, so I'm almost there. And this is coming from a guy who spent, what, I shared a video on how much I spent before. It's easily some hundreds of dollars. People say the trick is knowing when to stop and get sucked into the holes, but I feel like that's not a trick, it's just common sense. You know, the maybe one pull and I'll get them, maybe one more. It's just gambling. Alright, there's so many comments here that I could go on forever, but you kind of get the idea. I think it's called Whale's Remorse or Whale's Regret or something like that, where when they look back, they just like, I should have never done all of that. Again, if you need help, if you think you're spending too much money, hotline down below. It's very important, especially for our youth. Young people should not be throwing all of their money away, probably their even prospective futures away, for a game, for a character, on a server. Now that heavy news is out of the way, let's talk about the most important news, of course. Genshin Impact's Rosaria is getting a boob nerf. Censorship or a victim of asset reuse. So, we got a picture. This is her in patch 1.2, and then we have her in patch 1.4. They're big. To be honest, they're very big. It looks like the biggest so far. I don't know. But let's see what they say about her. Rosaria first appeared in 1.2 story quest as an NPC during several cutscenes, and she will make her full debut as a 4-star character in the upcoming 1.4 Invitation to Windbloom update as part of Child's Limited Wish banner. Players first noticed a month ago that this curvy nun from Mondstadt may have her design altered when people began leaking pictures from the closed beta, wow, getting closed beta leaks, and started comparing them to her original appearance. One of the most notable ones was a character mesh overlay comparison released by the user Lumi on Twitter, who frequently posts leaks from the closed beta test and data miners. Now that more of the videos and images have been released, it has become more apparent that the character has indeed had her breast size reduced. This is noticeable both in-game comparisons and her updated splash artwork. So yeah, you can see it's a little smaller. I mean, she's still a nun. You know, the disbelief of a nun looking like this, right? This is what a Mondstadt nun looks like. The most popular theory is that the self-censorship was to avoid trouble from the Chinese government. MiHoYo are a Chinese developer, and China is no stranger to the entertainment of media censorship. Likewise, it's possible that another company complained, like Sony, and their ongoing censorship of anime fan service on Sony PlayStation platforms to meet global standards. Or MiHoYo decide to self-censor and go ahead to get any potential issues raised by the platform holders or any angry social media mobs. Twitter mobs are idiotic at the end of the day. Why would you listen to them? That aside, the game is still full of female characters with skimpy clothes, skin-tight leggings, or ample or exposed cleavage. These include Lisa, Muna, Noelle, Jinyan, and Signora. As such, reducing the character's bust size would seem illogical when others in the game already do far more. I don't understand, maybe it's a jiggle physics thing, maybe they were just too big because of jiggle physics, I don't get it. Further, Rosaria still sports the skin-tight clothes and mesh leggings that place a large emphasis on her curvy assets, including her reduced breasts, thighs, and rear. In other words, if MiHoYo was reducing her breast size to avoid the dreaded stop creating sexualized female characters argument, and making her a few cup size smaller, it wouldn't do anything but deter complaints on social media. I mean, this is a long article for just talking about this, to be honest. The more likely explanation could be something much simpler and less sinister, her original boob size being too big for the character model once it was fully animated, which makes more sense to me. It feels like a more rigging issue rather than, oh, let's have another dynamic character, because if they made a character who had like a bigger bust, most likely they would have to create other characters that had a bigger bust. It's easier just to reuse like Ningguang or Beto's like character model, which Rosaria's looks very similar to, like at least in proportion wise. MiHoYo reused character riggings and meshes a lot for Genshin Impact. As a character-driven gacha game, this helps introduce new characters in a steady and frequent enough stream to maintain player interest. This means most characters are based on several core models depending on their general age range and build. Most female characters you can roughly break down into small girl characters like Klee or Chi-Chi, more teenage girls like Hu Tao and Zhang Ling, or more older women like Ningguang and Beidou. Characters in the same general build type and age range tend to have the same proportions, even reuse a lot of animations, especially if they have the same weapon type. Rosaria appears to be the same model of Ningguang and Beidou, and her new breasts appear to be roughly the same size as those two characters. It's possible that the previous bust size was simply too much to work to animate without clipping, and therefore needed a new developed character model and animations. Considering that she uses a two-handed weapon, clipping would be the most noticeable issue with her larger breast size. While the far bustier Lisa can share some animation, she is armed with a one-handed catalyst. Ultimately though, we may never know why Rosaria's change was due to censorship or animation issue, unless MiHoYo decides to make an official public statement on the matter, and that's it. Thanks, Frank Strava. Here's another picture of Rosaria with her obvious nerf.
Nerf this!
Yeah, when you look at it this way, it's pretty obvious. Alright, and that's it for the Genshin news. A lot of stuff to cover. I kind of ranted on for a very long time. This video itself, raw, is almost an hour, so I'm going to try to cut it down to like the least amount of time possible. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry for wasting so much of your time. Again, if you need help, feel like you're spending too much, if you know you're spending too much, reach out to the hotlines, try to get some help. And maybe I'll do this again for whatever Genshin news comes out. Hopefully no news comes out literally within the next 3 hours by the time I want to upload this video, but who knows what could happen. So I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.